So we're going to do the scavenger hunt, and to do that I'm going to start by making a new canvas that is 11 inches wide and 8.5 inches tall. And I'm going to hit create and bring it up, and I'm just going to go and I'm going to use the hotkey Control 0 to zoom in all the way. I'm also going to add rulers to this. So I'm going to add rulers, and I'm going to go on the ruler, I'm going to right click, and I want to make sure that I am in percent, not inches. So I make sure I'm in percent. Once I got all that in there, the first thing you're going to do is just put a background in. So if I right click over here, I make sure I choose paint bucket. If you had the gradient tool and you right click, go to paint bucket. I'm just going to pick a color. If you want to, you can go on the big kind of wheel. I'm going to grab color. I'm going to paint bucket. So this gives me my entire canvas background set. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to add a shape in there. Since in class I did the polygon tool, that's what I'm going to stick with. So I'm going to select it. I'm going to make sure I got 6 sides. I am going to make sure my fill is the same color as my background, and I'm going to actually make sure I have a stroke. So by default it's no stroke. To add a stroke you click here and you pick a color. So I will pick that color and I will hold shift, and I'm just going to make a good size polygon here that I can move around. Next, I'm going to go in to view and I'm going to add some guides. It's very important that the guides are in percentages. So I'm going to add 4 vertical ones, one at 20%, one at 40%, one at 60%, and the final one will be at 80%. Those are your 4 verticals. Then I'm going to add 2 guides at 40 and 60% as horizontals. Okay. So I'm just going to move this in here. And this is kind of how I'm going to get my idea if it's going to fit. So I'm going to do Control C on my object with the move tool. So that would be under Edit, Copy, Control C. I'm going to click on my object. I'm going to do Control C. And then I'm going to use the Paste tool, which is Control V. So I'm going to use the Paste tool. I'm going to paste it in. That brings up a new layer over here. I'm going to bring it in. And as long as it fits, we're good. If yours was too big, like this, and it didn't fit, we would delete it. So we would delete that layer. If we go back to original layer, we would do Control T, and then we could resize appropriately. So once again, I'm just going to make a copy, and I am going to do this for all 8 of my shapes. So I'm just doing Control C's and Control V's here, copying and pasting as I go. And when I have completed that, I can get rid of my guides. I'm going to go to View, and I'm going to go to Clear Canvas Guides, or Clear Guides, doesn't matter. Either will work. Okay, so I've cleared my guides. And then I'm just going to go to all of my layers. So I go to my first layer, the one right above background, and I'm going to name it what I want to put in there. So I want to put my chair picture in here. The next layer I want to put my tree picture. Next layer I want to put my water picture, so on and so forth. What I am then going to do is I'm going to click on my chair layer. See? I'm going to click on my chair layer, not my tree, not my water. I'm going to click on the chair. I'm going to go to File, and I'm going to Place Embedded. And then I have to go and I have to actually find what folder I saved my work in. So I saved in this folder called Work. I'm going to find my chair picture. I'm going to click Place. And if it needs to be resized, I will do that. If you hold Shift, it does it proportionally. So I'm just going to resize. I'm going to hit enter. So that puts my chair picture in. And notice my chair picture is behind everything except for the box I want it to go in. Now if I had moved it up, notice it'd be in front of all of them over there, but behind these ones. So it's very important which layer we select. So I'm going to put it over the layer that says chair. And then what I can do is if I right click on it, I can go where it says create clipping mask, and that will put it inside of this shape. Then if I need to do anything, I can use the free transform tool right here, Control T, to make it bigger or smaller. Hit enter to complete the tool and move it about as I see fit, wherever I might need it. Then I go to the next thing I want to do. So I click on the tree layer. I go to File, Place. I get my tree. I place it in here, about where I want it. Right click. After I hit enter, I gotta place the image by hitting enter. Right click after I have placed the image, and then I go to create clipping mask. And you do this the whole way through. Any of these images at any time, I can go to image and I can do adjustments. Maybe I want that to be a black and white tree. I can say, go ahead, make it black and white. So those are little things you can do. Finally, we have to add our text. So I'm going to go in here to the text tool. I'm going to draw a box. And then I'm going to pick a font that looks fine. Size looks fine. The color, I'm just going to make the color the same as, oops, I want to make sure I get, yes, the same as the outside. And I'm going to name it Scavenger Hunt 1. And underneath I'll put my name. And I'm going to click OK in a second. If I want to do some other stuff, like I wanted to change the style, I could do some things for style changing. I'm not interested in that. Also got this left justified, right justified, center if you want both lines, you select both lines. So little things like that are up to you. There's also like regular, some fonts will have things like bold or italics. I'm not going to worry about that here. Once I'm done, I can click outside of it or go to another layer. And I typically on this one, if I go here now and select the move tool, I could move it if I want to center it better. And I typically like to put my text layer on top. I like it to be the last layer I have. So I'm just going to drag it to the top. So it is in fact on top of all the other layers. That's not super important, but it is something I like to do. So this is pretty much all you have. If you're working on it and the period ends and you're not done yet, you're going to save it as a PSD. This is the type of file that allows you to continue working on it. So this type of file lets you keep working on document. Okay. And then after you save that, you could also save it as and save it as a JPEG. This is the type of file you hand in. So that's pretty much what we have here. If you have any questions, feel free to email me.